Welcome to Political Paradigm. I'm Terry Ikumi. Now, the security situation in the country, for many, the fear is that it's about to get worse if urgent action is not taken. And that's because of the new terror group, Lakurawa. So let's talk about security in the country now. I'm joined by Honorable Abdulrazak Namdas, who is the former chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Army. Welcome to Political Paradigm, Honorable.
Welcome. Thank you so much. Welcome, viewer.
And it's nice to see you again. I'm really excited that I'll be having a conversation with you beyond politics.
Yes.
But more about security, because your experience as chairman House Committee on Army put you in a position, because I followed some of those engagement, put you in a position to understand the workings of the military, especially in the northern region of the country, where you also come from. Sadly, there's a new terror group, Lakurawa. No idea how it's playing out, but perhaps you'd give us an insight. But before that, I think it would be best to put into perspective what your thoughts are on how the government is responding to this new terror threat. Remember that some are liking this to Boko Haram and how Boko Haram started and was ignored and now blossomed. So talk to us about your understanding of how the federal government is addressing this new terror threat.
Thank you so much. First, let me say that the Lakurawa is a new terror group that just emerged. It's different from Boko Haram in terms of operation, and even probably the ideology may seem to be the same, but not very properly documented. The good thing about the Lakurawa thing is that government has responded so early. Like, for example, on 7th of November, the defense headquarters, the spokesperson of defense headquarters came out clearly to say, look, we have a new terror group in the country, and they are known as Lakurawas. They went further to say that, look, this Lakurawa came into being after the fallout of the coup in Niger Republic, and because of the political crisis. Don't forget, Nigeria used to have joint multilateral task force that combined both Chad, Cameroon, Niger, and even Niger itself. So, but because of that coup, the relationship between Nigeria and Niger, I think, was not a smooth one, and Nigerian soldiers withdrew. So it gave a lacuna, it gave us space. So they exploited that vacuum and began to create problems. So that was how the Lakurawa infiltrated the northwest part of Nigeria, particularly Sokoto, Kebbi areas. And when they infiltrated the northwestern zone, and particularly Sokoto, Kebbi, the host communities welcomed them. You know, these people are very trickish. They joined forces with the communities in the northwest, particularly Sokoto and Kebbi, to repel bandits that were really disturbing the communities in the northwest zone of Nigeria. So the host communities began to see these people as, these are our brothers, let us be on the same page. Since they have joined forces with us and have been repelling successfully attacks of bandits, apart from the fact that the security agencies are also doing their own, these people are actually doing their part too. So now in doing so, they had the confidence of the host communities. Now these people refused to report the matter to the authorities concerned. So, but you know, as the way the terrorists work, after they've now relaxed and they are now very, very cemented with the relationship with the people, they started now coming out with their true colors, beginning to attack people, and they tell young boys who do not put BS, if you shave beer, they will just deal with you or kill you. Your trousers must be jumped up. They have started having ideologies that has some religious connotation like Boko Haram, but they were also killing people. So I think this was but for the defense headquarters to come out and agree that there's a terror group in town, in addition to the challenge they have in the northwest, that is banditry, I think that is a plus as far as I'm concerned. And I recall vividly that even the Chief of Army Staff, when the acting Chief of Army Staff was appointed, I think one of the first areas he visited was Sokoto, the 8th division of Sokoto State, so that he was able to now talk to the people there and told troops, look, I'm going to give you all my support. So I think the attack and the government response to it, to me, I think is in order. And they are also relying on intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, which means that they will use drones, use technology in trying to locate where these people are. So I think in terms of response, but if you compare that with Boko Haram, it wasn't like that.
Okay, you talked about the operations and ideologies being different from Boko Haram. Perhaps you'll expand on that, and also talk about what we know about the leadership of this terror group.
You see, because I said the leadership comes from Nigeria and Mali, because of the fact that those areas are also prone to the same challenge we have here, security challenges from Libya, Mali, and also Niger Republic. So they took advantage of the crisis and came also to the northwest with serious weapons. However, I know that the defense headquarters has identified 9 persons, 9 commandants of the Lakurawa community, Lakurawa terror group, to be able to arrest them, just like the Boko Haram did by publishing names of commanders, where the armed forces were able to pick them one by one, although not all of them. So the same pattern has been followed. 9 commanders have been identified as people that are leading the Lakurawa community, Lakurawa terror group, sorry. However, I think it is, since it's a new group, the leadership is not as established as it was in the case of Muhammad Yusuf for Boko Haram, or in the case of Shekau when Muhammad Yusuf was killed. It's not very clear because they are still at the stage of recruitment. They are even giving young boys 1 million to join the forces. So you can see they are recruiting, so the strategy is still going on.
But the concern now is whether this is indeed a new group, because there are reports that they've been in existence for almost 20 years. And when we talk about their existence, you must also recall that, as you said, they came into the communities armed already.
Yeah.
So clearly, they came in with illegal weapons and settled among the people and helped the people fight banditry, yet no report was made. So clearly there's a conflict between whether they really were, this is a new group, or they've been in existence. I
brought out the issue of the last year coup in Niger as the one that brought them to the limelight. But when you go to the historical case, we have sources say they've been in Nigeria since 2018. They've been in Nigeria 2018, helping fight banditry also in 2018. However, because their activities are not as overtly seen like it is at the moment. And I want you to know that when terrorists are trying to form groups, they don't come ready to fight the people. They try to gain the confidence of the people. So even when they came with arms, they did not come to fight the locals, because they need to establish the confidence of the host communities. Some of them will live among them, and they have to use tricks. Just like when Boko Haram started operating also, they were going to mosques. Some of them were leading prayers, and when they call to prayers, the people will come there. It is after the prayers that after some time, it was during prayers that they even attack the Muslim faithful. So they had to gain the confidence. So they said they came in 2018, but that the armed forces, security forces were able to repel them. So that subsided and their activities were not known. It was not common knowledge. Until even in 2023, that the coup issues came, and then they started noticing them, to the extent that in the National Assembly, or House of Representatives in particular, a particular House of Reps member by the name Sani, I don't know the full names, but he is from Sokoto. He came up with a motion on the plenary to say, look, I have in my community that the Lakurawas have regrouped and are causing issues, causing problems in July. This was what happened, what took place in July. So with the representative crying loud, and the people now started noticing that these guys are no longer as cool as they assume. So that was how they started attacking people.
Their origin is very important, because while you say that they came in here in 2018, And then you also talk about them coming into Nigeria as a result of the coups in West Africa. The coups in West Africa did not start as far back as 2018 for us to say that that is what led to their infiltrating into Nigeria.
No, I think you have to get it in perspective. The fact that they came in 2018, from the sources we have gathered, in 2018, does not mean that they were not there.
So they have been in existence in Nigeria.
What we are saying is that during the coup that took place in Niger, the Nigerian forces withdrew their cooperation with the Joint Task Force
of Nigeria.
Yes. So that created a vacuum. So the patrolling of the Lake Chad area was no longer, the Nigerian soldiers were...
So what that means is that they had been in Nigeria this whole time, but they were not able to operate fully.
Because at least the multinational Joint Task Force were seriously working.
But what does this say with regard to intelligence deployment? Because you also talk about recruiting young people to join them. This is not something that's done overnight. This is a process it had built over time. So how is it that we have such a group in Nigeria, given security, fully armed, to the point that they're able to repel bandits, something that our security agencies are struggling to do? They're able to repel bandits, they're able to recruit people, pay up to ₦1 million for recruitment, from which source of funding? And we don't have intelligence to understand this until recently, when that major attack happened, I think in Kebbi State.
Yes, where 15 people,
15 people lost their lives.
Well, yes. Yes, I think, first I want you to understand that the intelligence, the security forces are actually still doing their job. But when you are dealing with terrorist group, they don't have uniforms for you to identify that this is a bandit, this is a Boko Haram, this is Lakurawas. You understand? Sometimes even these names that we give to them, it depends on it's the media, for example, that started saying, okay, these are bandits. Now, they become bandits because by the way the operation. But in the Northeast, it was called Boko Haram. You get my point? So when you are faced with a terror group or anybody that is armed, first your priority is that, look, these are bandits. Because the bandits, as far as I'm concerned, the activities in the Northwest is even more strange and entrenched than what is happening that happened in the Northeast. Because the issue of the Boko Haram has even died down. So the security forces have turned their attention, more attention. I'm not saying they are not doing attention in the Northeast, but more attention in the Northwest because of the way and manner in which they operate, kill hundreds of people. Villagers have to pay taxes. This is a common knowledge. Everybody now know on the street that they are giving them problems. So by the time you see terror groups, at least terrorizing communities, asking for taxes and what have you, in your head is that, look, these are also bandits. But they later realize that, look, these are not just bandits, because bandits will come and look for...
I mean, I think anyone who's armed, illegal arms, anyone you hear about, and we're not talking about 5, 6, 7, 10 people. We're talking about quite a number of people, and we hope that we could also put a number to perhaps an estimated number to the people that we call the Lakurawa. The reason is, while you talk about not easily concluded that this is a terror group, you'd also see them as a security threat if you know that they're armed in a community. So this is where intelligence deployment comes in. I know we would also talk about ungoverned spaces, which gave room to something like this as well.
You see, the ungoverned spaces also gave another opportunity for the Lakurawas to operate. But I want to say that don't forget that even Boko Haram, while they were operating, they were divided into factions. Now these people have to get settled and then begin to now come up with their ideologies, because they have to come, what do we want? Initially, the idea is you come and repel bandits, and you settle with the people, you pray with them. Your religion is almost the same. You pray with them, you eat with them together, you discuss with them. But later, I think the security forces have also done their own part to realize that these people are called Lakurawas, because it was the Lakurawa themselves that said that we are Lakurawas and we are living here. It was the security forces that said, look, we have identified a new group of terror group in addition to the bandits. We have identified these people, and this is their ideology. They are also putting on long beards. They are also asking youths to put on beards, and their trousers are jumped off, similar to what the Boko Haram is doing, but actually not Boko Haram. So if not because of intelligence, how would they have known that this is a Lakurawa group and this is also a Boko Haram and this is bandits? I think for them to have differentiated that we have a new terror group.
No, the point is,
yes,
as our security agencies have always been accused of, especially the military, is the more reactive approach than deployment, than proactive. Now, when you talk about intelligence, intelligence could help you afterwards to understand what you're dealing with. But when we talk about sensing it ahead with intelligence, it's a different thing, isn't it?
Yes, I think, again, this is where I have chaired the House Committee on Army in the 9th Assembly. For 4 years, I've been with the Nigerian military, attending oversight functions, looking at their budgets and what have you. I think also the problem we also have is that we shouldn't be narrowing down all terror activities to the idea that soldiers will be the one to repel bandits or terror groups. I think this is where we have all been getting it wrong. I keep saying that the internal security, it is meant for the police. You see, it is always expected that when the police are unable to carry over, let's say, their firepower is unable to tackle terrorists and whatever, that you expect the soldiers to come. Meanwhile, the soldiers have been deployed, and if you can ask me, they are almost overwhelmed. They are almost overwhelmed. But it is not only the Nigerian army that should have intelligence in terms of identifying terror groups. We also have the DSS. We have also the intelligence within the armed forces. We also have intelligence within the police. Almost all the paramilitary and military agencies also have intelligence services. Sometimes what we had at during our time was that people were not sharing intelligence very well. Every agency wants to say that we are the one that identified this. You want to take credit for whatever thing you are able to achieve, and it is not the best. You need to cooperate. But I can tell you that intelligence is working.
But why has this festered? This is an argument that we knew about.
Yes.
This is something we knew about under the Buhari administration.
Yes.
Many expected that by now it would have been addressed.
To be sincere, I think they have been able to address that. Let me even give you the example of the current Tinubu's administration. We have the NSA. The NSA is like, it coordinates the activities of other agencies, security agencies.
And we've always had an NSA.
We always had an NSA.
Yes.
And but you can see physically that this NSA has been moving from one military agency, police, security of formations and what have you. And you have been seen also giving out press interviews talking about the cooperation between these agencies. So once it is done, it will always yield fruits. What is wrong is for you to have information and then keep it to yourself. I can tell you, when I was in the house, I remember when the Kuje prison break took place. We were there to investigate. I was on that committee that investigated. The director of DSS at that time said, look, we have given intelligence more than 25 times, warning that this is what is likely to happen here. But people didn't take measures. So you cannot now blame that the DSS did not do their job, because it was factual. He showed us. But
what could be wrong? I mean, this is not the first time. Even the Kuje jailbreak issue that you brought up, we knew, or we got to know, that the DSS had written
to the correctional service
to alert them on this.
Yeah.
But what exactly goes wrong that these things are not taken seriously when an intelligence of that magnitude is shared?
And that is the challenge that the current leadership is working on. Because we too were asking, because if you have an information, if you have intelligence that, look, not once, not twice, not thrice, that there are a group that's coming to attack you, and you did not give it an attention, I think it's unfortunate.
Honorable Namdas, is this an institutional problem? The reason I ask is that we've had changes in the leadership of all our security agencies over the years.
Yeah.
We've had new NSAs. Yet the same issue has festered. What exactly is the problem that intelligence sharing is a problem for us with our institutions?
I think it is, to some extent, in some areas, I would say it's attitudinal, or it's trying to...
And it trickles down
and sometimes
from one
people
individual
are trying to show some level of, supremacy. That's what I'm telling you. Well, that I don't trust you with this information. I don't trust X with this information, and I don't even trust Y with this information. I should be the one. I will keep it to my chest. I'm going to handle it. And that is where we feel that I think it is a wrong move. I am a student of security. I hold a PhD in security and strategic studies. So I should having even served as chairman of House Committee on Army. I have studied even security. So we have made that known several times to the institutions that look, it doesn't pay to have classified information that is going to save lives. Oh, and then you say, look, you will keep it to yourself at the appropriate time, you will release it. Before you do that, it affects. I think it's attitudinal leadership problem, but this is why government must continue. The right person must be found at the right time. And I think the right agencies that have been appointed, leadership been appointed to head the agencies are now doing doing their job.
There are those who say that if you expect individuals to autocorrect, you may not get a result. But the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, who should know that this is an institutional problem, how do you suggest he goes about addressing it?
I think even with the Lakurawa thing, I have read the president giving directives that terror group should be dealt with within the shortest possible time. And I think that informed the reason why the Chief of Army Staff also visited the area and all the security agencies were there. Remember, even the Chief of Defense, the Minister of Defense, the Senior and the Minister of State were also in Sokoto at one point in time because of the information they have gathered in response to the Lakurawas and other bandits. So you see that they were there also. So I think for him to have given orders that, look, go to this place is something that I think he has also recognized that we have a challenge.
No, I mean institutional framework, how he can address that institutional framework such that intelligence sharing becomes an actual thing within the security agencies. In
the actual sense, the chief of the commander-in-chief cannot tell the Nigerian people publicly how he will address security matters in terms of intelligence. But I can tell you that these security heads always meet with the president and brief him directly. So, and I think that he will be able to tell them that.
Do you know,
it is not
there's a very interesting side to dealing with the Lakurawas.
Yeah.
If the military succeeds, if the armed forces succeed with dealing with them, the people had depended on them to fight banditry. And they had succeeded over time. So what that means is that you have dealt with them even though they are turned against us, and now we're left with the bandits again. Ungoverned spaces coming to play again. And then you also talked about internal security being the responsibility of the police. I think it is common knowledge that we are under-policed in Nigeria. So what is the way forward now?
The way forward first is that intelligence, that's why I told you initially that the present security or armed forces have come up with 3 issues. Intelligence gathering, surveillance, and reconnaissance. All this has to do with gathering information using drones and other technology. Because right now that, look, we have identified that there's a new terror group in town. We need to locate where they are. In fact, they have identified a particular forest, just like Sambisa Forest in Borno State. They have also identified a particular forest around the northwest where they presume that these guys are now, this is the place they are now occupying. So that is why I tell you that they are also now doing their part. But I think more serious is that there is need for government to empower people. You get the point. Like in the National Assembly, we have talked so much about this local government autonomy, financial autonomy, and what have you. You see, once development trickles to the local areas, and the people see clearly that their local councils are working, and people are being empowered, and security little matters have been taken over. Nobody will come with a sum of 200,000, 1 million naira to buy people off. It is when this thing does not work that people are always referring to bandits to be dealt with by the armed forces. You cannot secure this country no matter how intelligent we are with the gun. You can't keep killing your own citizens, whether they are bad ones. Hopefully, as a leader, you want to, that's the essence of correctional centers. That's why people get arrested. That's why people get locked up. So if you have your way, you will find a way of seeing how you can be able to empower the people so that nobody recruit them into and give them more education and awareness, particularly in all those areas. Like now, government is aware that the only thing we can also do is that we must do communal collaboration. Talk to the community leaders, talk to civil society organizations, talk to people, let them know that there's a dangers here. Some people need to be educated. Provide education for our children, provide economic activities so this will reduce the activities of banditry. I
think we must address one very important thing, which is the reason why a group of people terrified, by bandits would see armed men who they know very well, because heavily armed men, as you said, who they know very well are not security agencies or member officers, and welcome them into their midst, not report the matter, and live with them until this got out. So how did they get to spread the news out? We must identify the reason why that will happen.
Let me tell you, first, our borders are porous. That is to understand. Our borders are very, very, very porous. You see movement within the Nigeria, Cameroon, Nigeria, Chad, Nigeria. The borders are porous. So people keep getting in. And sometimes because of reports of corruption also that happens within our personnel on the borders, you see people just come in and come out. And you also know that they have reported worldwide, nationwide, that look, that the activities, people with small arms and light weapons, the illegal weapons that exist in Nigeria is over 5 million. Of people moving with, and then don't forget, with those things around, you find it difficult to see, once the borders are not well secured, you cannot talk concretely about saving the people that live there. That's why even in America, the politics of Trump is always talking about, look, that their borders are porous. So that's the problem here. So when these people come, it's not as if they will show you that they have arms. They conceal these arms. They will enter first. They will conceal these arms. Then get a place to stay with you. Because sometimes the Nigeria thing is that most of the time they speak Hausa. It's the common language that we speak. There is marriage relationship and what have you. So sometimes when these people come, they speak the same language, the same culture, the same religion. So they would naturally not come with gun in their hands to show, look, we are coming here. No, but they will conceal them, stay, get places to stay, but they have places they conceal. Later, they will begin to come out with their true colors.
Honorable Namdas, a broken relationship with our neighbors, especially Niger Republic, porous borders. What's to say that this is not going to continue to happen?
Yeah.
Because clearly these are the issues as advanced by even the military. Yeah. If that's the case, what's to say that after dealing with the Lakurawas, that we won't have a new terror group? Or what's to say that we don't already have that existing now?
Yes, I think that is why that the security operators have said we have a new terror group. Your job as intelligence agency is to continue to look inwards and see whether you still have new set of people, or you have decimated the old people, or that the people we have not decimated enough. These are the indices that these reports must be getting to the right people at the right time. Even when they report that, look, we have killed a number of people here, we have killed a number of people here, you see, intelligence is more important than any other. Because once you don't have the intelligence, you are going to hit the wrong place. Sometimes it is because you lack intelligence that the people will the bandits will just overrun you, or the Lakurawa will overrun you. But if you have the intelligence, then you realize that, look, there are places you won't go, and the places that you will go. So this helps. And I think the Nigerian government will not be sitting just because they have bandits and what have you. It is a daily thing that you will be expecting when a new set of people will come. And that is why in our local communities, when life was sweet and good, you see the local Mayangwa, local, we call them these villages, you see them once there is a new person in town. And you don't know, because in most communities, you know yourselves. So when you begin to see new faces, you try to report them to the relevant quarters, to the authorities, and look, we have new person in town. Let's try and identify who is. The only challenge we have is that sometimes Nigerian citizens are afraid to even report suspicious activities for fear that they will be called upon to always get to the police for explanation. Sometimes they get arrested too. So even when you are sincere, you have the feeling. I think let the security forces give Nigerians confidence that if I have issue and I'm able to divulge that information to you, at least you keep my name out of it. You try to focus on the information I gave you rather than focusing on us. I used to be a journalist, and like you. So if I'm giving you an exclusive information, you are not expected to use that information and divulge that I'm the one that gave you the information. So sometimes this is the fear of the common man.
And then the whistleblower policy as well.
Yeah.
It shouldn't just be on corruption. This is also another...
That's another area. If you are trying to look, if you rely on only corruption and you allow that, you say, okay, tell people to, by the time an individual come out with a very serious security matter and you reciprocate by giving him certain welfare, they will be up and doing. But I think naturally we have an attitude, even when you are passing on the major street in the town and you see an accident happen, you want to help, you are afraid.
Honorable Namdas, as long as government does not provide security for its people, the people will look for alternatives. The northern region has gone through a lot with regard to insecurity. Of course, there's some form of insecurity in every part of the country, but the north specifically has suffered the most in the hands of insecure insurgents. Now, I know that the northern governors have had several meetings, but it hasn't yielded. And there are those who argue that this is the time for the governors to, engage in community policing, so to speak, and not always turn to the federal, because we know that the federal government, the state governments do not have the power per se to direct the security agencies. But why have the northern governors so far not been able?
To be fair to the northern governors, I think there are some governors that have done so much in the area of trying to tackle security challenges in their environments, in their states. That is why, like let's talk of Borno, when with Boko Haram, the Borno state government have done so much in the area of trying to also fight back. They not just fighting back. Look, the Borno state government will say, look, we have to resettle people that are already in IDP camps, bring them back to their bases, provide food for them, give them maximum security so that they can be able to go back to their farms and what have you. I think some of them are doing that, and some of them have created some security outfits in their states. Zamfara has done that, and I think even Sokoto has it. Most of the states also have those security outfits that they feel that it's under their control. Because the challenge with governors has always been that, look, we are chief executives by name. We cannot call a commissioner of police and give him instructions, and therefore we rather get our own security forces, and they are doing that. But the only challenge I feel, even while I was in the house, and this is the attitudinal issues that I feel and that need to be corrected, when we were faced with the challenge of Boko Haram, people just feel that this is a Northeast matter. Even the entire North did not see it as, okay, coming to us very soon. But I could remember some members of our National Assembly from the Northwest. I know some of them came out with motions on the floor that, look, what is happening in the Northwest is likely to be more than what is happening in the Northeast. They've called on their leaders to, look, take this serious and ask federal government, look, pay attention to the North. So we should not be saying that this is Adamawa matter, this is Borno issue, this is a Zamfara matter. So, but that's the attitude. Anytime you have a challenge and your state is a little bit peaceful, you feel like, let him handle it. Not knowing that we are living in a world that is called a global village, where something that happens in America happens also here. We don't live alone in isolation. And in West Africa, we even have what is called ECOWAS Protocol on Free Movement. The ECOWAS Protocol allow goods and services and individuals to move from one point to the other freely. So sometimes it comes with its own challenges. So we shouldn't be seeing it as really is this state matter. So I think this is the challenge that I've been looking at. Our governors should come out and work together. And then you can see, again, we have the Northeast Governors Forum. We have the Northern Governors Forum. And from time to time, they've been visiting their state, not even on security issues, where there are natural hazards, like what happened in Borno again, when we had the overflooding. You can see number of people from the northern states, even southern states, all the past east, all Nigeria outside the country visiting, giving contributions. It shows that people are now realizing that, look, if you have a problem, it is not an individual problem. I should join you to solve it.
And perhaps the governors should really consider what to do with their borders as well.
Let's allow the agencies like the customs, the immigration, they are the ones that are always at the borders. And even from time to time, the military finds themselves also in the borders because they have to protect the territorial integrity of the country, either by land, sea, or by air. So they try to do that.
But surely we can do more, because
yes,
we
that's
cannot
why
continue to do the same thing and expect a different result.
That was why I told you that our borders have been porous, and there is need for us to do more.
And that's where technology comes in, isn't it?
That's the technology. And I think another area was that even when we were in the house, we tried to say, look, allow, even you are doing a joint operation between, joint operation means that it's not only an army that will be there, the police, the army, the civil defense, the immigration, the customs, all of them will be there. Now, if it is a matter that concerns the border, you will have these security people around, but allow the immigration man to lead, because they know by their training. If you said immigration man looked at you very well, you know that this man is not a Nigerian. It is a professional job. So they know, sometimes they know the criminals. It's not like when you see the kind of intelligence that are in the correctional service is more than what is outside. Because these are people who, some of them are criminals that have been there, and they have information among themselves, and they interact with the correctional officers. So the kind of information, intelligence that is also in the correctional center is more than what you see outside. That is why sometimes we have what we call recidivists. When we say recidivists, there are individuals that you will serve a jail term. When it's finished today, you allow him to go. Tomorrow he will come back. If his serves finished, he will go, because he has been gathering information, and he will go to a target and he will hit the target. So these are things that I think let the state government, just like they used to assist other agencies, federal agencies, the police, the civil defense in their state, also assist them also to man the security forces that are also doing the agencies. So that.
But what do we do? What do we do with those border communities? Because we find that these terror groups or criminals sort of live with those people and try to instill their own laws and what have you among them. But what do we do? Because I've also sat through some public hearings, especially with the customs, where they've talked about these border communities being completely out of reach with regard to...
I come from a border community. I am from Adamawa State, from Ganye, and it's a stone's throw to Cameroon. And if you get to one of my constituency, Tongo, it's just so, if you shout so much, the man in Cameroon can hear you, just to tell you how close we are. But I agree that this is the area that the federal government should always focus. When people live in border communities, they don't have access to good roads. They don't have access to infrastructure. For example, even to go and get the potable water becomes a problem, get a clinic becomes a problem, get good roads becomes a problem, economic activities are not there, and they are always constantly being attacked by people. They have fear. So that is why sometimes they say, look, let us even pay these taxes. Let us even talk to the bandits. Let's give them our allegiance so that we can be safe. So I think this is the challenge. And that's why even the agent, there's what is called, there's an agency that takes charge of border development agencies. We have BDA, border development agencies that exist. And I have benefited from them in my community. They once provided sort of medical services and activities and some to my community, including ambulance, beds, and what have you. This is an agency that is charged with the responsibility to help develop border areas. And I think this is the area where our government of the day should fund these people very well so that they can be able to help put the border communities in order.
All right, great. I think as former chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Army, it would be great to sort of have you assess our military, because they've been in use for a while now, beyond even their responsibilities. But there are concerns as to the morale of the troops themselves. I don't know if anything has changed, so perhaps you could talk to us about what you experienced while you chaired that committee interacting with Army, what you think has improved or not over the years, and how it could be helpful in the fight against insurgency.
In my relationship with the Army, I think truly, I know that first, for you to achieve anything in the armed forces, there is what is called discipline. There must be discipline. And that discipline has really helped put the Nigerian armed forces in order. It's the only area that I see they have respect for their leaders. And if you don't have that discipline, even when you are giving welfare, then there will be a problem. And we noticed in our time, there were a couple of complaints about welfare of the troops. And sometimes you go to certain areas where you see troops are in certain villages that they don't have banks. Because if you go to Maiduguri at that time, you find out that out of the number of local governments they have, I can tell you over 2/3 of the local governments do not have a functional banking system, because the Boko Haram at that time were busy bombing those places. So these guys, even if you have to pay them, they have to go physical to go and collect money. Sometimes some of them will say, okay, let me take permission to go into the town and find a place that I can be able to access fuel soon using my card to. So, but we were able to improve on the welfare of the people. But I think welfare is not just restricted the issue of money. I think welfare should be looked upon from a holistic point of view. And I remember that the Nigerian Army had over 128 armed barracks scattered across Nigeria. Now, if you go to these barracks, most of them are as an eyesore, because you find troops, some of them, their families they've not seen their families for over 5 years, 3 years, 4 years, because they're in the bush, but their families lived here. But the condition in which they live is so appalling. And you can also blame the military for not doing it, because I remember even at that time, the capital component of the budget that we were having, for the past 4 years, I have not had any budget of over 30 billion for capital budget for the Nigerian Army. Now, if you take 30 billion and you throw it inside just renovation, you will see that only 2-3 barracks will get. So you see, there is need to up the scale of the funding of the armed forces, particularly the
Army.
And even the police. Even talk about barracks, brother, there is no particular agency of Nigeria, the custom, the police, the barracks, the armed forces, you go to their barracks. Once you are comfortable and your family is comfortable, you can do the job. But I think when we talk about welfare, most of the times our attention is paid is on whether they have increased it from 5,000 to 10,000 naira or from this to this. It should include accommodation, even the education of the children of the armed forces, the soldiers. So these are things that should be taken on compass. But I think at that time we did our best. And those at the Home Affairs at that time, I worked with about 3 Chief of Army Staff, Buratai, Lawal, and then Atahiru. All of them, I think, they also did their best.
There's another thing that I must ask you with regard to improvements or otherwise within the army, and that is training, because we know that at the time when the Boko Haram situation was reaching its peak, the military had said that they didn't have the training to handle such level of insurgency. Has that improved over the years?
Truly speaking, I can vouch for the army that in terms of training, I have not seen any agency of government that has focused on training of its people, of its personnel, like the Nigerian Army. I stand to be corrected. What I am telling you because it is only in the army that for you to even get promotion from the one rank to the other, you have to undergo serious training, especially if you are an officer. It is not, as I'm talking to you right now, efforts are being, promotion exams are still ongoing. You require, for example, you get about, there will vacancy, personnel of 170 will be writing an exams to get promotion from brigadier to major general. But they will require only 40 people. They'll pick only 40 out of 170. And they will pick the best. There were times people were coming to us as politicians. They said, look, my brother is a brigadier general. Please, can you talk to the chief of army staff and so that he can be able to promote my brother? We know politicians, they feel you can do everything. Now, I remember discussing that with one of the chief of army staffs at the time. And he told me something. He said, Namdas, look, the Nigerian army is like, we know ourselves. If I'm in set A, like in my class, if they promote one person, the entire class know that, look, it is supposed to be A that should be promoted. So if you promote F, this know that something is wrong because they know themselves. During training, hard training, they know people that survive, know people that those who are intelligent. So that's why they are very proud of themselves that, look, we are cost 13, we are cost this, we are cost this, we train together. And the good thing about the Nigerian, the armed forces is that whether you are cost 23, cost 31, whether you are Navy, Air Force, or Land Army, you are mates. So they know themselves. Even from the school, they work together. So it is one agency that I can tell you to do. I will not say almost 90% of them promotion is based on
merit.
Merit.
But does this professionalism and training trickle down to the troops themselves?
Yeah, because it trickles. I can tell you, I don't want to demean other places, but the thing is that I tell you, our problem is the expectation that Nigerians have on the armed forces. So because you have so much expectation, the little they do, you don't see it. You look at the bigger picture and you feel that all the security problems should be solved by the Nigerian armed forces. That is a problem. And it's important that you as media to help educate Nigerians. In my village, as chairman House Committee on Army, I remember going home. When I went home, there's a particular, patrol point where soldiers have been always stopping people. And my people came to me and said, look, you are the chairman House Committee on Army. These people have been disturbing us. Sometimes they will stop us on the roads, search us, do this. We should ask them to leave the place. They are giving us problems. I spoke to one of the commanders and said, look, sir, can you please, let's complain with these people. He said they are doing their job, but they will see what they can do. I think after some time, on their own, they decided to say, okay, relocate this particular patrol team to another place. But after 2-3 days, after 1 week, the same people that were complaining that this guy had been terrorizing them, said, no, we are no longer safe. Bring them back. It's because if you put the police in a particular place, Nigerian man say, look, no, if you don't wear that khaki as a soldier, he feels he's not safe. So even if there's a land dispute between two people, they would like to go and want to hire a soldier to solve the problem. If there's a fight in the market, you want to get a soldier to solve the problem. So I think this is the over expectation on the armed forces. I'm not saying that they don't have their own challenges, but I think we should, in true sense, look at the fact that as policies of government should also matter. What can we do to improve the economic activities so that people will enjoy their life?
Okay, so as we wind down, there's a very important question I must ask you, considering the need for the military in the northern part of the country, considering how the rise in security in that area. But many people wonder why the southeastern part of the country seems to be more militarized than the northern parts. The number of checkpoints, military checkpoints on the roads leading to the southeast, when they should be in the northern part of the country.
You see, you are looking at two dimensions. First, the insecurity in the north, particularly some of them is religious. Like I tell you, the Boko Haram feel that given the opportunity, they should replace this setup, the present government we have. It should be an Islamic government. That's why they say it's Boko Haram. They don't believe in Western education. So you see, their totally ideology is different. The man in the southeast feels that, look, he also wants to have a new Nigeria. Given alone, he's talking of IPOD. He wants to have a different country. So they have even come out with this a position, look, that on Mondays, you must not come out to work. And people have actually agreed.
But that's not for all the southeastern states.
I agree,
right?
that's not for the southeastern states, but this is the scenario that people, the ones in the southeast, if I can I can vouch on that is that some of the attacks are also in cities. And that is why you see a high number of checkpoints in the cities.
So the situation in the southeast is agitation.
Yes, agitation, yeah.
The situation in the north is
somehow religious.
But it's more insurgency. So we have terror groups basically.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying, look at it.
So when you talk about that, many would argue that why not ask the police to go and address the civil situation, which some believe is less of a national threat than the north.
Now, you get it in the proper perspective. The ones in the north don't even live in the towns. They live in the bush, in a forest. So he does not need a checkpoint in the bush. You will not go there.
But those ungoverned spaces that make bandits thrive, and then we now have to look to the Lakurawas, who eventually became terrorists on their own. What do you say to that? Also recall that I think I had spoken with one of the members of the House from Zamfara State who talked about bandits operating fully in his state, just the outskirts of the capital. And they can't even leave without escorts from the military. That's a very serious situation, isn't it?
About escort, my brother, even if you go to cities, come to Abuja, go to Lagos City, you still see very important persons moving with escort.
No, this is not even important persons. He's talking about, he said the villagers themselves have to be escorted collectively out of town if they have to.
Let's be fair. I will agree on some parts of the issue, but let's be fair. The security forces in Zamfara cannot be sleeping without doing any job. But I told you earlier in this interview that sometimes these guys are overwhelmed. And how many of them will be in Zamfara in one particular point and operate in the
I just want us to quickly address this so that we sort of touch on what the concerns of people at the time. Because many would say that you don't need that much military checkpoints in the southeast. We could put police there. We need them in the north, where insurgency is on the rise. And then there are those who would now say that this military that we talk about, growing up specifically, I can say for myself that I didn't used to see the army. It was a big deal to see the army.
Times are changing.
Times have changed.
Times have changed.
Exactly.
And I can tell you,
it's not for the good.
Let me tell you, when I was chairman House Committee on Army, when some of my colleagues want to do an empowerment, because on their own, they know there is police, but they will ask us, please, can you talk to your people in so state? Please, I am going to do an empowerment that is worth over 100 or 200 million or 300 million.
And they want the army.
And therefore, please, and for fear that people will come and just take and then.
So why not the police?
So that I'm saying. So sometimes it is the attitudinal thing that I was talking about. It's not just in the National Assembly, but I'm telling you that.
Does this suggest the weakness of the police?
Well, I think it is the way Nigerians look at security system. They feel that, look, once an army is here, it is better than a policeman. And even if it is a police person, they prefer the police that has, what do you call it?
Fully armed.
This camouflage policeman, not the one with total black uniform. This is just mindset. But I can tell you, the police are also doing their best. They have made several number of arrests. They have been able to repel a lot of attacks. But it's a mindset. You know what I'm saying? Anytime I was given an opportunity to talk on the police, I always mention this particular area. That when I was growing up in Adamawa, I know that there is a particular place in Gwaza where mobile policemen were trained. At that time, if somebody comes out from Gwaza, graduate from that place, we feel that, in fact, in terms of dispelling rioters, he's even much stronger, better equipped than an army. You understand the point? But you see, this thing has died down. There was a time, allegedly, that even Boko Haram overrun the place. So these were the challenges. So I think, but the police have also been doing their own.
Okay.
But I think Nigerians should also encourage the government that we should fund the Nigerian police also more and not just concentrate on other agencies, because they are in every village you go.
They should be in every village.
But it's not same.
They are not in every village. They should be in every village.
Yes, but it's not the same with the Nigerian army.
So let me just take your final statement, especially on this Lakurawa situation, just before we say goodbye.
Yeah, I think the Lakurawa thing is that it's great. My difference is that when Boko Haram came out, and I remember when Jonathan was when he was the president then, when people presented to them that, look, we have Boko Haram, people do not even believe that Boko Haram existed. Sometimes people, it was a phantom Boko Haram. It took time for government to take decision. And that was why these guys gained ground to deal with us. But in the case of Lakurawas, swiftly, the defense headquarters said, look, we have identified a group. My happiness is that if the defense headquarters on their own can tell Nigerians that we have a new terror group in town, they on their own will not wait for us to tell them to do the right thing. And they are doing the right thing. Okay. My only plea is that Nigerians and host communities should help them, because they are no magicians. But
how quickly do you think that this Lakurawa terror group could be?
No, now that it has been identified, I can tell you, I have a feeling that by early next year, they should be nipped in the bud.
Very well. The Honorable Abdulrazak Namdas, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Well, that's all the time we have. I've been speaking with Honorable Abdulrazak Namdas, who is the former chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Army. If you'd like to catch this episode and previous ones, simply go to channelstv.com or go to YouTube and search Political Paradigm. Thank you very much. I'm Terry Ikumi. Goodbye.